Hi, good afternoon. My name is Barbara Menu, and I'm 56 years old. I have two disabled sons. I'm here because of some agencies' misconduct and also abuse on us. My two sons and I have become homeless since June 2018. First, we had a Section 8 voucher. I had this Section 8 voucher for almost 20 years with my other two older sons. 2017, the apartment that we were living were unlivable. So the city told us to go to shelter. So we moved our things to the storage. And then the city moved us, placed us in a shelter in Queens. At that time, my youngest son, who is here with me, was 12 years old. And he hasn't been to school since 12 years. That was 13 years. Since 13 years, when he turned 13. So when we were in shelter, the shelter told me to look for housing because after 6 months, our Section 8 can expired. So I began looking for apartment. So after 2 months, I found an apartment here on Flatbush. And the lease, we had 1 year lease. So May 2018, the lease expired May 2018. The management didn't renew the voucher. So I decided to move my children out of the city. In the meantime, after they didn't renew the voucher, I decided to seek shelter from DHS. DHS refused to place us in shelter, so I decided to move my children to Albany. In Albany, they gave us 1 month to stay in a shelter. After 1 month, they told us to move out. So we came back to the city, same year, June 2018, to see if the DHS will place us in a shelter. Again, DHS refused us shelter, saying that we don't qualify. Why? Because my children's addresses were switched. In other words, they were changed by HRA. So every time you go to a shelter, even though my children are with me, the DHS system says my children are not with me. They are living in different places. So it became a problem. So I decided to move from the States with my children. First, we went to Canada. We went to Washington, D.C. to see other states, to seek shelter. There they refused, they denied us. So I have a sister in Canada. My sister decided to let us come and move in with her. So I used to be on disability after I had my son. And then, so that income was the one that was helping us to rent motels. So after Canada, we went to California to see if we can get shelter there. The first shelter was Oceanside. We were given 1 month. Every shelter, 3 shelters, we were given 1 month to stay. So the last shelter was San Diego, Salvation Army. Then I decided to look for apartment. So we found apartment in Oceanside. There, the lease, in the meantime, before I moved to out of the state of New York, I requested the voucher to be put out to California, which was never did. So, which was never transferred. So in California, I was looking forward for the voucher to come, but it never was transferred. So in the shelter, they told me to look for a place, otherwise they're going to throw us out on the street. So I decided to use at that time, all of us were receiving Social Security disability. So when I found the apartment, it was very expensive. So I have to use all the disability money to pay the rent. And then also go for food pantries. That was what we were dependent on in Oceanside. So 4 months later, the owner said money became a problem. We couldn't afford it. So the owner evicted us. So I decided to come back with my children to Virginia to see if I can find, I'm from Ghana. I decided to come to Virginia to see if I can find people from my country. So there I met somebody from my country in Reagan Airport. And this person allowed us to move in with him from August 2019 to 2021.
Okay, ma'am,
When
could
he
you-
lost
could you wrap?
the house,
We're gonna need
the
you to-
owner decided to sell the
Ma'am,
house.
can you,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. So what I'm trying to say is, because of this corruption, my son have no education from 13 years old. And even when he came back to the city to seek shelter from last year, same thing. The first shelter here in Brooklyn, we stayed there for 9 months with no housing assistance, with no, also my children's social security money have been claimed because we were homeless. Social Security didn't know where he was. Therefore, it was paid by third parties who said my children are being cared by. Right now, currently, we've been shipped to 4 shelters from February to October. We have no money to eat. We have no, and also my son, who the oldest one, has type 2 diabetes. The shelter currently that we are in now, before this shelter, we were in Bronx. I was arrested for trespassing. That they told us we are not eligible to stay there. So they called DHS police to arrest me for more than 6 hours. While my disabled son, who is also type 2 and severely mentally disabled, hungry with no medication. Finally, they let me go and said that they are not going to press charges. So we have to come back to PATH. PATH also continues saying that I have to provide for the past 2 years, which I have all the documents here, for the past 2 years where we have been. Otherwise, they are not going to place us in shelters.
Yeah, I think that I appreciate your testimony. I think that this warrants maybe a further offline discussion. Maybe we can have the staff get your information so that we could figure out how to be helpful. But thank you for sharing your experiences.
Can I share this? Because the Section 8, currently we don't have the Section 8. It has been given or sold to somebody else. I requested it 2019 when I came back to New York to ask for the Section 8, why it wasn't transferred to California. So please,
Okay.
I need your help with the Section 8. And
one of the staffers will collect your information and then we'll figure
Yes.
out how to be helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you to
so
this
much.
panel.
Thank you.
We will now be moving to our final panel, which would be an